Now this room used to be called the post office because in this area where this hole was, people would leave calling cards and just postcards around here for other visitors to see. And then on 3, open your eyes. Now if you're scared of the dark, keep your eyes closed. It'll be much different. Y'all ready?
Yep.
1, 2.
Different parts of the Appalachia pronounce it differently. Appalachia and Appalachia, depending on if you're the southern or northern dialect.
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. Well, I'll take you to a place we can see it all. Step off the edge, I can break your fall. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go.
All right, honey, where are we off to?
We're going spelunking.
400 feet, turn right.
Now what?
Sorry. Thank you. We're going spelunking.
Take the next right, then turn left.
Yeah, we're gonna take a trip down to Mammoth Cave.
Yep.
And we're gonna take one of the tours, which was actually highly recommended. What was it, Broadway?
No. Cleveland Avenue.
Oh, Cleveland Avenue. Sorry, wrong one. Yeah, we're doing the Cleveland Avenue tour today. It's about 2 hours long.
Take the next left. In a quarter mile, turn left onto Kentucky 255.
A lot of information on the Mammoth Cave National Park website.
Mm-hmm.
We are staying at Thousand Trails Diamond Caverns Campground, which is literally down the street from Mammoth Cave.
And across the street from
Diamond Caverns. Yeah. Which we opted not to do because that tour is rated as strenuous.
Mm-hmm.
And my joints are just not up to it right now. Been having a lot of problems with my knees and my hips still.
Yep.
Turn
So,
left onto Kentucky 255.
And this one is rated at moderate.
right.
So, first time I've been to Mammoth Cave.
The first time I've been there too,
So it'll be a brand new experience.
and that's even after living in Kentucky for several years for me. Just a different part of the state than what I used to live in.
But it is a gorgeous day.
Beautiful
Another
day.
after a couple of chilly days and nights here this past weekend.
Yep, we had lows down around 19 and 20 for a few
In
nights.
a quarter mile, turn left onto Kentucky 70 West.
All kinds of hiking in the area, by the way.
Yep.
Hiking and biking.
Turn left onto Kentucky 70 West.
So we have reservations for 1:30 in the afternoon. They say get there 30 minutes before. And we're only about 15 minutes away from the park, from the campground. So we left, about 12:35?
Around there,
Around
yeah.
there. So, and the nice thing about touring caves is the fact that you can do it all year round because it's a constant temperature inside the cave, no matter how hot or cold it is outside.
Correct.
It's a
Continue straight onto Mammoth Cave Entrance Road, Mammoth Cave Parkway.
constant 54 degrees, according to the website,
Mm-hmm.
inside the caves. Have I said how much I love Kentucky before?
Yes, you have.
Oh my. Okay, what we got here? What do we have?
We have Doyle Valley Overlook, which we probably should stop there on our way
On
back.
our way back. Yep.
Wow. That's beautiful. Beautiful trails around here. Wow.
this is one park, one area where if you had e-bikes, oh yeah.
It'd be beautiful.
Yeah. Go for miles.
I don't know if they allow e-bikes on the trails.
I have not seen any signs restricting, but I have to brush up on that. I don't know. We don't have e-bikes yet, so you notice I say yet.
Yep.
Visitor Center Cave Tours, 1 mile ahead. You can tell we're much further north than our last videos, where all the trees were blooming and
Not too many right now. It's still a little too chilly for.
very winteresque on this first day of spring.
Yeah.
In 1,000 feet, slide left.
And there is a campground here in the park.
Yep.
I have no idea. Oh, and it's RV friendly parking. Look at this. Trailers, buses, motorhome parking that way. So yeah.
But we're not in a motorhome, so.
In 1,000 feet, your destination will be on the right.
And the nice thing is that even the regular parking spaces look nice
Pretty
and
big.
roomy.
Alternative fuel.
That's not fair. How can they get the park so close?
Your destination is on the right.
Fuel bias, fuel bias. All right, let's see what we can do. So this map was created in 1845. Hopefully that's focusing. This is just an exhibit inside of the Visitors Center.
Big and kind of unwieldy, kind of she was quite a remarkable woman.
That's a chuckle for you. We regret that the spider has disappeared. Getting ready to go spelunking.
This is their story of David, their loss, and of how one member of the rancher family is helping to restore the connection between his family and the world-renowned part of Kentucky. This is a Mammoth family story, and it's told by Jerry Branch.
Before Mammoth Cave belonged to the American people as a national park and to the planet as a World Heritage Site, this was a homeland. First, and for nearly 10,000 years, American Indians gathered food, grew crops, and hunted in the area. They lived under rock shelters and in villages near the river. After disease, war, and broken treaties pushed the Indians from the land, a new community arose. Descended from the Scotch-Irish, French, Germans, and enslaved Africans, the settlers cleared forests, built homes, and planted crops. Like the clay on riverbanks or the deer in the woods, the cave is part of the land that sustains the human body and spirit. So I can't stress enough how much information can be gleaned about this cave system that we never knew. And we highly recommend people read about because the history here is just incredible. I had absolutely no idea. All right, time to start heading over to our rendezvous point for our tour. All right, so as you come out into the rendezvous area for the tours, you see all kinds of photos here. And then there's pavilions, the shelters that are marked A and B.
Good afternoon, Mammoth Cave visitors.
Time to get on our bus.
Going to Cleveland.
And we're off.
Today that was the first step we saw.
A lot of down trees, I'll tell you what. They got hit pretty hard throughout here.
Are they covered by the trailers? Covered by
So we were informed at the orientation that all the steps are going down in this tour and that we will be taking an elevator up. So she said this was actually a good tour to choose as a beginner's tour. You get a lot of history about the caves. So we'll see.
You don't realize how big this is until you have
When I grew up,
to get
there was
shoveled
no
to different
bus.
areas.
Yep. Oh, and we did find out that the steps down in the cave are only 200 steps, about 200 steps. Ew. This would be a fun job to have. And I think we're here. Ooh, little draft. Should have brought a hard hat, right?
I was making sure you were hanging around.
Pretty good height.
This railing is crazy. I know, I have like my seat covered.
We're still going down, down, down. Hi, honey.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're watching all of it.
I don't know, am I? I
Don't let me
can't.
hit my head while you're filming.
There you are.
We have all of us people. Now, this is called the Canyon Passageway. Some people say it reminds them of the Grand Canyon. This is all limestone. Everything in this cave is going to be limestone or a type of limestone. weight of the rock.
I don't know if any of this will come out, but so I switched from the Osmo to the Samsung. We're now at the tail end of the tour. Wow. Looks like barnacles. So they were saying that the graffiti in here is from before it became a national park. It's called historic graffiti. So I wish you could see some of these formations, but it's just too dark in some of these areas. Massive slabs of rock and like mini caves, miniature caves inside of them.
This popcorn-like stuff, like he mentioned, almost creates these shadows that you might think of that. Now this right here is a really good example. This is gypsum. Gypsum comes in different formations. You're gonna see it's gonna look kind of like fallen snow, as you would see on the ceiling, kind of this popcorny stuff here. If you guys look above, I'm sorry about that. You see these kind of like feathery looking places, and when you see it makes a circle, these are called gypsum flowers. Now, gypsum is a calcium sulfate type mineral.
Interesting, can do.
Hey, look at the shapes over here. I'm fine. Worried about them. I'm worried about them back there, though.
themselves only cover about 25 to 30 miles. And that includes our wild cave and crawling tours. That 25 to 30 does not include necessarily the easier tours. You see these little holes right here? Those are those passages that I told you that the water was trying to make. Now, if I turn my flashlight off, that looks like it goes somewhere, doesn't it? Yeah, but it doesn't. We have some places that do, but we'll see those along the way. There's a specific place once we get there called Cleveland's Cabinet, where actually during the wild cave tours you go down and you come out along the trail at another spot. But I just wanted to talk to you guys about those passages here. And if you guys look, you've noticed that our path has gotten really squished, right? This is that football-like tubular pattern that I was telling you. So as we move farther on, you're going to see more of these little passages that tried to create new places that we could have toured. But the water receded so quickly that we cannot.
Yeah, there's a bunch of side passages like this.
Side passage.
Side, yep, so like alongside the main passage.
Oh, so you could go down that hole?
Go do another.
If you could fit.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh, you really are.
Wow.
I do it too.
I wish the enormity of these caves translated better onto video. I mean, yeah, the scale of the rocks, and this isn't even the biggest areas, you know, the biggest caves. But it's just beautiful. God's hands at work. Yeah, don't forget to look up when you're in a cave.
Oh, I know.
One of the benefits of straying behind the rest of the pack. One of the benefits of straying behind the rest of the pack. There's still people behind us with the follow ranger, but
Enjoy sights and sounds.
yeah. And again, they're waiting for us.
I'm just waiting on rain to hail. Now, if you guys look here, you notice this little hole in the ground? This is another one of those passages. It didn't form laterally, but it formed vertically. There's probably a small crack here in the cave. You can't really get in there. But you can kind of see, it's only about a foot or two deep if you guys want to check it out as we're leaving. But it's nothing crazy. Just watch your step as you come over here. In a spot that I told you this was a very dry cave, right? This is not a man-made, or this is not a natural hole, this is man-made. In 1931, when they blasted the entrance that we came in, it was the Carmichael entrance, they also thought it would be a good idea to put some electricity down. Now, when the electricians decided to drill, they thought they were drilling back there. But their hole ended up here. This hit an aquifer when they drilled, which is kind of like a small underground stream. And now we have this constant drippage of water into this little puddle. This little fireplace type area was actually put here later on to keep the water from flowing down that little stream bed that you see there, just for safety reasons and to keep as much of the cave dry as possible. But if you guys look, what is missing around this area? Gypsum. That gypsum, like the salt in our bodies, is a water-soluble mineral. So that water right there prevents the growth of gypsum. If there was gypsum there, you see a little bit of white luminescence there. It's because when that water flows a little harder, it eats away at that gypsum formation. Now this room used to be called the post office because in this area where this hole was, people would leave calling cards and just postcards around here for other visitors to see. We do not do that anymore because we take out what we bring in, right?
So does this go anywhere? Oh, whoops.
Goes where?
He's just,
Oh, okay.
actually, I think, didn't somebody do a documentary on it once? Yeah. Wow.
This one was poured into cold.
Someone just stood it up. We don't really know.
Oh, really? Looks like they stood it up to brace the ceiling.
It came right from here, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, drop
Oh,
it.
neat.
Yeah, kind of like a puzzle piece. You can see where it used to be.
Yeah.
Of our cave history. He was a tour guide that was actually a slave man. He gave various tours when this was actually private property in the 1800s, and he explored this cave mainly in the 1841. Now, Stephen Bishop came across here after probably about 18 or so hours of travel over time. This part of the cave was actually offered at that time as a long cave tour, which took between 16 and 18 hours to get from the historic entrance all the way over by the visitor center to here. And when they would do that, they would travel by lantern light, and 90% of you guys are underdressed.
Ken.
They would actually do it in suit ties. They would do it in top hats. Ladies would be in heeled dresses and corsets, and they would travel in more treacherous terrain than this, in mud and mud. People would come over here, and they would actually picnic. You saw that big flat rock that we passed up back there, and you probably wondered what that was. That was actually referred to as the dining table, where the guides would stop and they would eat and take a break there. But do we have any questions before we continue on? No? No, not really here. About every 24 to 48 hours, the cave does what we call breathing, where it kind of exchanges the carbon dioxide and oxygen here in the cave system. In the wintertime, when it is super cold and it is warm down here in the cave, in some of our smaller natural entrances, you can actually see what looks like steam or fog rising up from those entrances, just where those vapor levels are different. All right? Let's see if I can do this after I put this on the floor. Let's see. No, I'm not good at it. But that's pretty good. Okay. If you guys want to stand here, some of the kids want to stop, you can stop here on our way out. Just try to keep up with the group. If you hit a B flat here and my talking voice hits it, Haley has better experience with it than I do, but or Hillary, I'm sorry, has better experience than I do. But if you hit a B flat, apparently, you can kind of get an echo. I talk at a B flat, so I don't know. Yeah, see, she's so good at that. But yeah, if you guys want to kind of stomp your foot, kind of hum here as we move on to the next one, just try to stay with the group, okay? Look at that. All right. That's good fun. That's it. It works right here. So as you guys come around, like I said, you can see where this kind of passage starts over here. If you guys look behind you a little bit. And this flat rock over here on the right, you see kind of on the other side of the rocks, folks. Don't step on the rocks. So as you move around, you'll see this little hole right here. That's that passage I was telling you that makes that resonant sound.
Have you ever had somebody start an impromptu concert down here?
Some people will sing down here, yeah.
The acoustics, I bet, are amazing.
Anytime anyone wants to, and I'm willing to tour.
Oh, look at this. Wow. Oh, I hope it comes out on the video. Yeah, look at this. Neat. Oh, wow. Here's a good angle, Jeff. Look at this. You get down below and up top. Right here.
Cameras do not do the same justice.
No, they do not.
So the New Deal created this conservation corps, the Civilian Conservation Corps, to kind of help with that financial burden of the United States during the Great Depression. It's where they took a lot of young men from late teens to mid to late 20s. They took them and they offered them jobs. Those jobs would pay them about $1 a day, and they would stay away from their families, keep $5 and send the rest to their families. And here in the National Park Service, they did things from setting these trails to planting the forests above us, because that used to be farmland from about 500 to 600 families that used to live in this park before it was a national park. Now, after we got through all of that, before this was a national park, Stephen Bishop, like I said, explored this area of the cave, right? So if you look above us, we see these things called snowballs. This room is called the Snowball Dining Room. And the reason why it is called that is because when Stephen Bishop found this room and he went back to his owner and reported what he found, he explained it as it looked like snowballs growing off the ceiling. This is a dining area that in the 90s or so, they used to serve hot food. They're in that cafeteria area, from soups, chili, grilled cheese sandwiches, all kinds of stuff. And then they noticed that it was causing some issues with the cave environment, so they switched to cold cuts. They switched to cold sandwiches, kind of like box lunches you would get on a school field trip. But eventually they realized that all of that trash and food brought in unwanted visitors. So they stopped doing that. However, they only stopped doing that about 10 years or so ago. As some of you guys have been to Mammoth Cave before and are used to this history, you might have eaten the snowball room once or twice. But here in the snowball room, this was a big area to stop for tour guides. And when they would stop, the tour guides would let people write their names on the walls for a small fee. Back then, in the 1800s, tour guides could collect tips because these were enslaved men that wanted to make money. And so what they would do is they would tell people, if you want to leave your name here in the cave, you can pay me a nickel and we'll write your name. And if you look, this Hookman's tonic is about the only one that is actually in some form of paint. But all these others that look almost like spray paint is done by candle. This is smoke from what would be a larder tallow candle that the guides would have. For the taller ceiling areas, the tour guides would carry around a big old stick with a nail on top. They would stick that candle on top, light it, and dot the letters, dot by dot, on the ceiling or wall. And it gave us this cave graffiti. Now in these areas here, you see where it's dark patches, that's where people didn't want to take all that time, and they would just smoke it up and etch their name in there. One major important signature here is actually to Nick the guide. Nick Bransford was a guide here in the mid-1800s. In 1851, he became such a popular tour guide that even though he could not read or write, some of his visitors would sign for him. And they would pay tribute to his great guide experience that he gave. And you can see to Nick the guide on certain tours with other signatures around it in this part of the cave and a couple others there. But that just gives you kind of an idea of what used to happen before this was a national park. All 53,000 acres are relatively explorable here with backcountry trails and camping or marked trails if you would like to go on those. We have multiple maps in the visitor center. There are multiple entrances to Mammoth Cave National Park in different areas like Park City and Brownsville and so on and so forth. Yes. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna count to 3. On 1, I want you to close your guys' eyes. On 2, she's gonna hit the lights for us and take us all the way back to the 1800s. And then on 3, open your eyes. Now, if you're scared of the dark, keep your eyes closed. Much different. Y'all ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. All right, if you got light up shoes, keep your feet still. All right, if you guys want to be real quiet, you guys can see what it's like to be in the darkness of the cave and hear what it's like when we're not here. All right, so you guys hear those cave crickets? Probably not, because they don't chirp like crazy. All right, can I hit those lights for us? All right. So when nobody is down here in the cave, it is so dark you can't see your hand. Our kerosene lantern was running out of fuel, so we didn't stop with our lantern. Hillary almost ran out of fuel back there on her last tour. So, but it was so dark back here that when the first explorers were exploring the cave, if their lantern went out, they couldn't see. But most of them had a way to relight that lantern. But it is so quiet down here that it is almost like you're not even existing. If you go through the historic tour, sometimes they'll talk about the Native Americans down there. And when the Native Americans were in here, they used the cave in the historic portion as kind of a rite of passage for young men. And they would bring them down into the cave in the historic area to do some of their rituals. And they think that part of the contribution to that was the dark and silentness of the cave. Mm-hmm.
Oops, sorry. Yep. So, different exit from the entrance. And there's our bus waiting for us. And we just found out that the front tour guide, this was her first ever tour led. So, she gets a huge round of applause. She was awesome.
Your shadow stretching on the floor while the sun gets low.
All right, so we stopped at, what's it called? The Boyle Overlook?
Boyle Valley Overlook. Future forest.
The edge of Appalachia. Different parts of the Appalachia pronounce it differently. Appalachia and Appalachia, depending on if you're the southern or northern dialect. So yeah, we are definitely in the foothills here. What did I say? We were at about 800 feet elevation, something like that. Between 700 and 800 feet.
Between 700 and 800 feet.
So I'm not sure if this is part of the overlook over here or not. Should we walk over there and see? I lost my husband. Wow. Wouldn't you love to ride this? Look at this trail. Look at this path, this trail. Oh yeah. I would love to come back here and ride this. Or even just walk it. I mean,
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. I'll take you to a place we can see it all. Step off the edge, I can break your fall. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. When you fall down, I'll get you back up again. The things you try are things that you won't regret. We are kings of the world, and tonight is our playground. We are kings of the world.